All right, good evening and welcome to this week's installment of Thursdays with Jamila. I hope that you guys have had an amazing week so far. I'm excited to be online with you guys tonight. The conversation that we're going to have can be a bit controversial, so I want to get your insight. I want to share my perspective with each of you. If you didn't see the title is Fail Well. And that probably to some would seem like, well, how does one do that? How do we fail well, Jamila? And I want to dig into that. I want to start with the quote that I looked up, and it says that the biggest difference between those who succeed and those that don't is their unrelenting spirit of perseverance. Let me say that again. So the quote that I found that I feel sums up what we're going to talk about tonight, it says that the biggest difference between those who succeed and those who don't is their unrelenting spirit of perseverance. And I think that that couldn't be any more true. It is the desire and the defiance to go against your fear, to go against the odd, to go against the adversity that says that you are incapable of succeeding. And that is the biggest determining factor between those who succeed and those who don't. And getting deeper into that thought, I want us to think about our mindset for a second. And I'm just going to give you two to compare. We're going to talk about the fixed mindset and we're going to talk about the growth mindset. And when you hear the descriptions of the two, I want you to think about where you are. What is my mindset currently? And is my mindset the reason why I am not seeing success in my goals and the things that I am endeavoring to do? Is it potentially my mindset? All year thus far, we have been talking about goal setting. We've been talking about strategic planning. We've been talking about addressing our why. We've been talking about purpose over presence. And so tonight, I wanted to talk about the inevitable, because ultimately we will fail. When we are going down a path to do something that we have never done, a lot of times it's trial by error unless you have a mentor that is guiding you along the way. And even in that, because your purpose and your pursuit is unique to you, while you are walking that path, you're going to walk into some of the unknowns. And because you've never seen it before, it's all foreign to you. The likelihood of failure is very likely. Okay. So when we talk about the mindset, I want you to think about which mindset do I possess. The first one is going to be a fixed mindset. Those who have a fixed mindset have the tendency to assume that things like intelligence, athletic ability, writing talents, and things of those natures, they believe that those are fixed qualities that are hardwired into one's brain. Okay. They feel like people are either born with the ability or they're not. And they don't believe that there's anything that you can do to change when you have a fixed mindset. They're just like, either you have it or you don't. From the perspective of the person who has a fixed mindset, they're saying that success should come fairly easy. They're saying if you have to work too hard to succeed, then you probably aren't talented and you should seek another career path. Do you hear that? So people who have a fixed mindset feel like success should come easy. They feel like either it should come to you, and if it's not coming to you, then you should be deviating from that thing, because that's not what you were created to do, because everything that you're created to do should come without a toil, and it's you came to earth with it. That's the mindset of those with a fixed mindset. For those who have a growth mindset, they see talent as something that is constantly being programmed and updated within the brain. They feel that abilities are pliable and they can be improved upon. And from this perspective, success never comes easy. Effort is always required. So when you hear those two mindsets, where do you find yourself? What end of the spectrum do you find yourself? Are you a person who believes that you came to earth with everything that you need, and if I'm having to toil for it, then it's not what I should be doing? Or are you the person who believes that success is something that we grow into? It's something that evolves over time, and it is something that requires your effort. I want to give you another point when it comes to those who have a growth mindset. Those with a growth mindset, they see rejection and failure, as not only a necessity, but it's something that is beneficial. So people with a growth mindset feel like failure is required. It's a requirement along the journey, and it is something that they ultimately believe that they benefit from. To them, rejection is the fire that fuels them to forge ahead and helps them to harness in or hone in on their skills. They feel that failure fuels them. It's the fire to say, get up again and try again. So, which is better? To have a fixed mindset or to have a growth mindset? According to scientific study, it says that a growth mindset requires you to cope better with rejection and failure because you interpret the failure as a lack of effort. And so a lack of something means that you can always add to it, right? So those who have a growth mindset, they are categorized as people who are able to cope with rejection and failure better because they say that I have failed because of my lack of effort. And when they fail, they can alter their circumstances by working harder, which increases their probability for success. So when we're thinking about the goals that we've set, when I've talked about the strategies, when I've addressed my whys, when I've gotten all the things that you've asked us to do, Jamila, since January at the top of this year, now I need to think about the inevitable. The inevitable is failure, but how failure impacts me has everything to do with my mindset. So what is your mindset? Do you have a fixed mindset? Do you have a growth mindset? The beautiful thing is that you can always change it. So if you found yourself kind of nestled in the description of a fixed mindset, don't beat yourself up about it. It could be learned behavior. It's an adaptive thing. You've cultivated this mindset over experiences, over time, over culture, over family norms, right? So whatever the mindset is, there were a lot of things that shaped that. But the beautiful thing is, and will always be, that you have the ability to change and evolve. So when I looked at my goals this year, Jamila, when I did the goal setting, when I did the strategy, when I looked at all the things, when I submitted my plans to the feet of Jesus, and ask them to establish them and remove anything that was not purposeful, I now need to understand that I'm going to journey down a path that is foreign to me, and there's probability that I'm going to misstep. So what do I do when it happens? Okay. One of the things that I want us to talk about, because I am all about application. I never just want to give information and never talk about how we then apply it when we log off from this broadcast. So one of the things that we need to really, really talk about when we are thinking about our mindset is to be mindful of the self-talk, to be mindful of the thing that you are saying to yourself when no one's listening, to be mindful of the thing that you are meditating on. So when someone tells you no, or you receive a rejection notice to maybe a job that you've applied for, or you weren't promoted, or whatever the thing was that you felt that you were qualified for, when you get that no, what is the first thing that you communicate to yourself inwardly? Do you automatically say, well, I guess I wasn't good enough, so on to the next one? Or do you say, oh, I'm too old for that, or I'm underqualified for that, or I'm not the right gender for that, or I didn't come from the right background from that? What is this thing that you begin to tell yourself the first time you hear no? And what you say to yourself matters, because the power of words shaped an entire universe. So you truly shape your destiny with what you say. So you have to be careful about the word that you release over your life because you've received a no to a circumstance, because ultimately we are pilgrims passing through. So everything here we have to wear loosely. We can become so tied to it that we almost formulate everything about our identity around somebody else's acceptance or lack thereof. That's a very dangerous place to be. So be mindful, and you have the power to denounce anything that is not relevant to who you are, that is not empower or cause you to see yourself and the truth of who you are. So be careful about the self-talk, because ultimately what you say to yourself is what you say to yourself shapes your reality. What you say to yourself and the shape of your reality teaches other people how to engage with you. So if you take on rejection as an identifier or a qualifier of your worth, then you start to teach other people that they ultimately have more power than they ought to in shaping and defining who you are. So be careful of the first thing that you say to yourself when you receive a no. And I'm going to get to why, but that's point one. Rejection isn't final. It is a signal that what you have to offer will not reach its highest potential in that environment. So when you receive a no to a job, when you receive a no to a promotion, when you receive a no, it is because what you have to offer isn't for that environment. And so that no is freeing you up to continue on that journey, to continue on that path until you reach the place that your divine yes resides. Because when you get the divine yes, then everything that is tied to it will actually reach its highest potential. So understand that rejection isn't final. It's really a safeguard for you to not become consumed in what will deplete you or stagnate you from reaching your highest potential. When you hear no, wipe the dust from your feet and continue on your quest. It is not final. No does not mean that you are not qualified. No does not mean that you're not the right person. You are who you are. You're just not for that person, that environment, that company, whatever. It's just not for you, but it doesn't diminish you. Please remember that. Focus on the process. Point two. Point one, mind your self-talk. Point two, focus on the process and not just the outcome. We often miss what the season has come to teach us because we have such a narrow focus on what we want to get out of it. We don't see who we are becoming as a result of it. And so when we fail to see who we are becoming as a result of the steps that we are taking, we are missing out on the greatest gift of evolution. And I'm not talking about coming from monkeys to humans. I'm talking about the evolution of you, the growth of you, the becoming of you. And so you've got to take a minute sometimes and back up and see the forest from the trees and say, hey, I know that this is the end goal, but listen, I've grown in temperance. I've grown in love. I've grown in compassion. I've got added skills. This is teaching me something about me that I didn't know and I wouldn't have come to know had I not submitted to this process. So thank you for the process. The process is not a denial. The process is the perfecting. And when we've been perfected, we lack nothing. Okay, so think about that. Don't ever just assume that because it didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen, and I'm struggling in this, and I have a goal in mind, and it's taken me a long time to get to that goal. I'm telling you, big dreams take a long time. And if you're a big dreamer like me, you've been holding on to some stuff for a while, trying to wonder like, why is it not happening? Why is it not happening? It's going to take some time because of what you want to achieve. So look at the process and look at who you are becoming as a result of it. Nothing is wasted. Nothing. If you would even think about the job that you hated and you walked away from, I promise you, if you think about it long enough, there was still something good in that job. You gained something in that job. You grew in that job. You got to check. So nothing's wasted, but look at it. You've got to decide to look at it from a different vantage point. You've got to decide to look at it from the lens of growth and not the lens of pain and rejection and stagnation. Am I growing in this? And as long as you are growing in this, nothing is wasted. Okay, point three, and I'm going to spend a lot of time here, guys, because this really got to me. And I honestly changed the entire topic this afternoon because we were actually going to be talking about something else. But this really resonated with me. And I want you to say this to myself. I will discover the power of yet. Point three, discover the power of yet. Y-E-T, yet. Why? Because yet means continually up to the present or to a specific time. It means that there's a steel hanging over your head. Yet means that it's at a future time and it is going to happen eventually. It is a promise. It is a promise of hope. Yet gives us a reason to pursue. Yet says that what will be shall be, and it will not tarry. And when it comes, it will come, but it has not come yet. Discover the power of yet. Because yet means that I'm still in process. Yet means that I am going somewhere. I just have not arrived yet. Think about when we were little kids and our parents were driving us somewhere. We were like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Our parents knew where we were going. Our parents knew how long it was going to take us to get there. Our parents prepared us for the journey. They packed snacks. We've got water. They've mapped out where we need to get gas. They've mapped it all out. They have a clear understanding of where we are going. We don't know because we've never been there, or we're not familiar with the route they're taking. And so we keep saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And we're getting antsy. And our parents are not fazed at all because they know where we're going. They know where we're going and they know how to get us there the most efficient way possible. And they know that when we get there, the journey will have been worth it. Think about that for just a second. So while you're on this journey of trying to achieve and trying to overcome and trying to see the fruit of your labor, think about the power of yet, because you will arrive and you're going to arrive on time. You're just not there yet. And we don't want anything to be released prematurely, because things released prematurely have to go into ICU, and ICU is costly. And ICU puts us in a fretful state. And ICU makes us fear that what we just birthed is on the verge of dying, but it's not time yet. So while we are still being groomed and while we are still laying foundation, rest in the power of yet. Rest in it. Hang your hat on it and know that I am not stagnant. Now, if you do find yourself stagnant, that's a different conversation that we need to have. But while you are journeying on that path, be excited about the power of yet. Why? Because yet brings hope. Yet diminishes termination. Yet does away with something being terminated, because yet is the comma in the sentence. It is never the period. It says that there is a continuum. It says that this will come. And I want us to look at Habakkuk 2:3, and it says, because for the vision is yet for an appointed time. Yet, so the vision, the goal, the thing that we are after is for an appointed time, meaning it will happen eventually. And at the end, it shall speak and it will not lie. You guys, this is one of my favorite scriptures. I am doing my very best to not get overly excited and overly emotional, because I want you to hear this. But what we are after is a yet thing, and it is for an appointed time, and it will speak and it will not lie. Why won't it lie? Why will it speak? Because God watches over his word and it will accomplish wherein it was sent. So the word is the yet. It is a promise that will be fulfilled at its appointed time, and it will speak and it will not lie. Everything that it is to be, it shall be. It can't be anything less than what it has been preordained to be, because it is for an appointed time and it cannot lie. It cannot lie. And that is the hope that some of us need to remember, because we feel like we've been lied to. We feel like they've manipulated us. We feel like people has given us counterfeit things of hope. We feel like people have spoken our business and not really known the truth of what we're going through. But there is a word that is a yet. There is a promise that is sure. It is. And it's yours, and nobody and nothing can take it from you, because it is for an appointed time. And though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. Surely is a guaranteed. Surely means nothing can dismantle or derail it. It will come surely, and it will not tarry. It will not tarry, you guys. But there's a diligence and there's a persistence and there is a hope against hope that is required from us to always believe and walk in the spirit of the truth, because the lie will present itself to derail us, to cause us to feel like we are incapable of achieving or obtaining the thing that was spoken to us. Oh, but my goodness, it will not lie. It will not tarry. I am so excited that I have discovered the power of yet. And I want you to be empowered by that 3-letter word. Because it's not over. It's not over. It's just not time yet. Yet says that yes, it's coming. Yes, it's just not for this set place. So if you are on your journey and you've been saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? When are we going to get there? Do you want to go someplace that was along the way? Or do you want to reside in the set place? Do you want to reside in your set place? Or do you want to cheat yourself and settle while on the journey because we are tired of the journey? I want what was promised. I want what I've sacrificed for. I want what my tears have been rendered for. I want the soil that is for my seed. And because I don't want anything prematurely, I will rest in the power of yet. Because I know that when I get to that set place, everything that was promised and is attached to my why will render itself, and it will be beautiful, and it will all have been worthwhile. Don't y'all get off that train before time. Don't go to some subpar destination because you didn't have the diligence and the discipline to wait. We're going after everything that was promised to us, and we are not settling, not anymore. And I speak to the hurt that you feel, and I speak to the rejection that you feel, and I speak to the person who feels like, I have held on to this thing, I never let go, and I feel like everybody's passing me up, and I feel like it was all a lie, and I feel like it was all for naught. I wrote the vision, I've been disciplined, and it still doesn't seem to be rendering fruit. I speak to that, and I reignite your hope with this 3-letter word, yet. It hasn't happened yet. There is still time on the clock, because you don't know how many days you have been given. You don't know the detail of every single day of your life. You don't know it. So don't grow angry, and don't wax cold, and don't grow resentful because you haven't seen it come to pass, because I promise you it's coming. And when it comes, you won't even be able to compare the glory of that thing to the suffering that it required. You won't. It's going to all be worth it. It's going to all be worth it. Why? Because Ecclesiastes 3:11 says that he has made everything beautiful in his time. See, most people read that and they say, God makes everything perfect in my time, or its time. And we leave the it to whatever the thing is. No, go back to the original, and it says he makes it perfect in his time. His time is not ours. His ways are not ours. His thoughts are not ours. His thinking is so far above us, but everything that he created, he made it beautiful in his time. So he has every detail of your life pinned down to the finite detail. Everything. And everything that is for you will be revealed. I want to read the contemporary English version of the scripture because I like for it to be in layman's terms, but I never want to discredit the original, okay? But this says that God makes everything happen at the right time. Yet, there goes that word again, none of us will ever fully understand all that he has done. But he puts questions on our mind about the past and the future. So when we made those goals and we said we were going to commit to strategy and we said that we were going to be disciplined, God is making everything happen for us at the right time, at the appointed time. He is a calculated God. He makes no mistakes. Even when we feel that we are on the wrong path, we're like, clearly, Jesus, you missed the mark on this one. He makes no mistake. Everything concerning you has been worked out to the finite detail. And everything will happen for you at the right time. So what is the continuum for success? Jamila, how do I get there? I hear you. I want to do it. I want to get off of this podcast and really be able to apply what you said. The continuum of success is about establishing behaviors that are most relevant for the task at hand. They say that the kryptonite for failure, or what causes us to fail, is typically a past success. Why is that? Because we bring those behaviors into the new thing, assuming because it worked over here, it's going to guarantee success here. And that is not how that works, because everything that you're doing is unique to its own thing. So you cannot just assume, because I've always done it this way and it's always worked, that I can just pull all of those behaviors into this thing and guarantee success. It doesn't work like that. So we have to be able to continue to evolve. That's why that growth mindset is so powerful, because it says that I will put the effort into the necessary behaviors for this thing. Even if that means that I have to change, even if that means that I have to grow up, even if that means that I have to open myself up to a different perspective. If the end goal is what we are after, then we are never beyond growth and development. Never. There's always something that we can do better. There's always something that we can hear or see differently. So be open to developing the skill sets and the behavioral patterns necessary for this situation. 2019 was a situation in itself. 2020 will be no different if I continue to be the same person, bringing the same mindset, bringing the same behavioral patterns into a new thing, assuming that I'm going to get something different. It's not going to work like that. Okay, so if I want to see success continually, then I have got to be willing to grow into the thing that is before me. You do not need the same skill sets to be a general labor person that you need to be a strategic planner, or growth strategist, or a CEO. Every level requires a different level of growth and development. Are you willing to adjust? Are you willing to become a student again? Are you willing to be quiet again? Are you willing to do away with some of the things that just appease you so that you can make room for the thing that you need, so that I can really, really see some results? Q1 is almost over. You guys know that I said I want to see results all 2020. How did you measure that stuff out? We're in February. March will be here before you know it. How are we doing in Q1? Are we still in the planning phases? Have we laid some foundation? Have we done the work? Are we looking at what we need to do on an individual level to make sure that we see what it is that we're saying? It's personal. It's personal this year. It's personal. Think about it. Be willing to listen and see things from different perspectives. And finally, diversify the voices at your table. This is going to be my final point. Diversify the voices at your table. You have to have people sitting at your table that see you beyond today, who are safe enough to point out your deficiencies, and who are brave enough to help you grow into who you need to be to get to that end result. If you do not have people at your table that can speak to the core of you, if you do not have people at your table who you trust enough to be vulnerable with where you are deficient and asking for help, then the people at your table need to be removed. At this point, you are better off with a table of one, because if they can't speak to the core of you, if they can't walk you through from here to there, they do not deserve a seat at your table. And if everybody is saying yes, you've outgrown that table, because somebody should be saying, now, wait a minute. Everybody cannot agree with every single thing. Then that means that you have become the smartest person at the table, and I'm definitely using air quotes. And now there's nothing else for you to gain from this. I'd rather eat the crumbs off the table of the most accomplished person in my field and who will correct me. And maybe they only give me 30 seconds of their time than to sit at a table with people who just keep saying yes, 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 while leading me to a dead end. Diversify. That means people from different cultural backgrounds. That means people from different educational backgrounds. That means people from different regions of the United States and America. That means, and I don't really, I probably am going to offend somebody. That means people from different religious backgrounds. Because if you can never stand in your truth because somebody else has a different religion and has a different perspective, then you are not sure of who you are. Because I can sit at the table with anybody and it's not going to make me any less Christian, but I will be open and available to hear what they have to say. Because I will tell you something. I have a friend, and I have quite a few friends that are Catholics. You want to know what I love about the Catholic Church? It doesn't matter what church you go to across the world, because their religion is consistently applied. You can sit in a Catholic church and not know the language and have a clear understanding of what is happening, because they have ingrained their truth across every single language. Language is not a barrier for them. Can we learn from that? Absolutely. Unify what it is that you say that you stand for. If you want to have a business and you want to have a global business, you've got to be able to talk business across cultures. You cannot just go in with your way and assume that because you said what you said, that the people at the table are going to receive it. It doesn't work like that. You have to have people at the table that will say, now listen, when you go into this particular environment, there are some cultural norms that you need to be mindful of. And if you expect to seal the deal, you need to be cautious and respectful when you talk about these topics, because this could be a deal breaker. You got to have people at the table who you trust enough to be able to speak on that level of truth to you. If they're not there, it is definitely time to play musical chairs and move some people out the way. It's time. What did I say last time? Results. I want to see results. I want to see results in my life. I want to see results in your life. Did I have some wins in January? Yes. Were they scary to pursue? Yes. Why? Because there were some things that I hadn't done in so long, and the idea of failure haunted me. And sometimes it's not even the failure that causes us to not jump on the limb. It's the fear of failure. We assume, we start speaking our doom before we even try it, because we're so used to not hitting the mark that we just assume it's never going to happen. But I put a post up about a week ago, and I said, you never have to toil for provision when you walk in divine purpose. When you walk in the thing that you were created to do, provision finds you. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I've seen. And the idea of failure has to take its seat elsewhere, because you cannot sit at my table. You will not take another day from me. You will not rob me of another opportunity. You will not rob me of my peace by taunting me with the idea. The failure hadn't even happened. The idea alone has caused some of us to grow paralyzed. We don't even move. We're so stricken with fear of. Discover the power of hope again. Discover who you are. You're never, this is just my opinion, but you never discover you outside of discovering who he is. Because when you discover who he is, you start to see yourself, because we were created in his image and his likeness. And the more that I know of him, the more sure I become of me. And the focus is not supposed to be about me, because I was supposed to be and am created to bring him glory. So that when I know him and I speak well of him, I in turn speak well of me, because I am an heir to the throne. I am created in the image and the likeness of him and who he is. He created me to be, and he said, greater works. Greater works. That's powerful. Greater works shall you do. So there is nothing that is limiting your ability outside of the ideas that we believe about our inability. What truth is going to lead you? What truth is going to take you beyond where you are? And are you brave enough to try it again? I know you failed. I did too, countless times. But I am willing to fail well. How do I fail well? By taking the lesson of every failure that has taken place in my life and deciding to build a strategy based on my experience, because my failure taught me something. And I'm not going to become so distraught that I miss the lesson of the journey. I want the best for y'all. It's going to take some hard work. The growth mindset requires effort. It means that I will do my part. Success is coming to those who are willing to do their part. Success is coming to those who go in the proper direction. Success is coming to those who look fear in the face and laugh. I'm no longer fretful. I'm no longer fearful. I know who I am. Will my voice quiver? Possibly. Will I still have problems getting words out because of my disabilities? Absolutely. But I am willing. I'm willing. See, there's a willingness. Let's go back to the quote that we opened up with. Let's do that, because I think we need to say it one more time. And what is the biggest difference between those who are successful and those who are not? Is an unrelenting spirit of persistence. I am going. I'm not yielding this time. I may have failed. I may have stumbled. I got some scars to prove it. And the thing about failure that is so beautiful to me, it gives you empathy for people who are where you failed, and you are able to give them real life application. Your experience is their tuition free lesson. They're getting to know what you learned in your failure, and now you are helping somebody else. You just became a bridge. There's some benefits of failure, y'all. Not even just on a personal level. You get to look at somebody else and say, hey, listen, I've been down a very similar path, because I don't say same path, because everybody is walking their own unique journeys. Okay. So you can say to somebody, listen, I've been in very similar circumstances, and this is something that I had to do. You can take it. I'm telling you what I went through. Maybe there's something in here that can be beneficial to you. You just became a bridge. You just became a beacon of hope. You just became the answer that they needed. Your failure is not final. It's not final. You quitting is the only reason you will not see what you are after. You deciding that my failure is final. You adapting that fixed mindset that says, if it didn't come easy to me, it wasn't for me. So I'm going to get off of my set path and go get on a subsequent path because this isn't coming easy to me. Let's think about our mindsets. Let's think about what we're after. I want our journal prompt for this week to be, how has the past prepared me for what's before me? And in order to write that journal prompt, you cannot have a fixed mindset. You have to take on the mindset of growth. You have to take on the mindset of being able to grow beyond your greatest mistake. You have to. What about those failures has prepared you for what's ahead? Can you be vulnerable enough? Even if you cannot say it aloud, the pages of your journal is a safe place. Your journal is a safe place. Think about it, y'all. What about my past has prepared me for what's ahead of me? How am I going to apply what I've learned, what I've been through, where I've stumbled? How am I going to actually apply it so that I see what Jamila has been draining and drilling into us since the top of this year? Are we going after it? Are we going to be relentless? Are we going to be unyielding? Are we going to be honest? Diversify the voices at your table. I'm going to say the points one final time before we log off of here. Point 1 was about being mindful of your self-talk. Point 2, focus on the process and not just the outcome. And the final point that we made tonight was discovering the power of yet. There's so many great things ahead of us. There's so many things that we can achieve, but we have to decide which mindset we are going to take on, and then we can determine how successful we are going to be. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you got something out of it. This will be loaded. I can't even get my words out. This will be uploaded to our YouTube channel within the next 48 hours. So if you want to watch it there, if you prefer to watch it on Facebook, whichever your preference is, take it, share it, apply it. Hearing it is not going to we've got to hear, and then we've got to apply. That is the only way we are going to see the outcomes that we're desiring. Have a great night. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.